Hello everybody and welcome to Let's Talk Sports, a video of the 2022 Italian Grand Prix at the Monza circuit. I know we haven't done one in a few weeks, so thank you everybody for joining, hopefully this is going to be a really interesting race. I will run through the grid order of the 2022 Italian Grand Prix in a moment. Obviously it has changed from what we saw in qualifying yesterday due to the fact that a number of teams and drivers have taken grid penalties. So yeah, it's a very mixed up order for the Italian Grand Prix, so hopefully it will be a good race. In terms of overtake manoeuvres, whether we're going to see that many overtakes in this race, even though this is the Temple of Speed, as it is known at the Monza circuit, but 15 out of the last 22 races here at the Italian Grand Prix have actually been won by pole, by the person on pole position, which did surprise me a little bit, because obviously you think with the long straights and the DRS that there should be a number of overtakes in this race. But interesting to see if the new regulations do change it a little bit. Only time will tell. In the next few hours or so, we will know if the person sitting on pole position will end up winning this race. So the grid order, as you can see on the screen, hopefully is there for you, but of course I will run through it. So Yuki Tsunoda starts at the back of the grid. He obviously had the most penalties. He also had a driver penalty himself, so it wasn't just about engine components or car components that have been changed. Lewis Hamilton starts 19th. We've got Carlos Sainz in 18th place. Mick Schumacher is 17th, Kevin Magnussen is 16th, Valtteri Bottas 15th, Esteban Ocon is in 14th place. He's actually on the soft compound tyres. Then we've got Perez, Stroll, Sebastian Vettel is in 11th. Nicholas Latifi starts in 10th place after the amount of people behind him that took penalties. Latifi starts in 10th place. We've got Zhou Guanyu starting in 9th. Nick de Vries is an exciting prospect as well. He replaced Alex Albon in yesterday's practice free and qualifying due to the fact that Alex Albon had to go for a operation for appendicitis, I think. So hopefully I think he has gone through surgery. We're hoping he's back for the Singapore Grand Prix, but this is a great chance for Nick de Vries. Beat his teammate Nicholas Latifi in qualifying yesterday, and for a man that's trying to get a seat in Formula One, this is a great test for him today. And of course, beating his teammate Nicholas Latifi will be very disappointed with that performance, being beaten by somebody that only just came into the car yesterday. So keep an eye out for him. We've got Max Verstappen starting 7th. He finished 2nd, but he had a 5-place grid penalty, so he starts in 7th place. Fernando Alonso starts 6th. Pierre Gasly is in 5th. We've got Daniel Ricciardo 4th and Lando Norris 3rd. The two McLarens locking out the second row. So let's see if they can make any progress, if they can score points. And don't forget, Daniel Ricciardo won this race last year as well. We've got George Russell starting in 2nd, and the Ferrari man, the main man for the Italian Grand Prix, Charles Leclerc in the Ferrari, starts on pole position. So will we see a Ferrari win the Italian Grand Prix today? George Russell will hopefully be having something to say about that. But we'll see how long it takes Max Verstappen to go up the order. As I said, he's only starting in 7th place. He's not all the way back like Carlos Sainz, Lewis Hamilton, and the likes down the bottom. His teammate Sergio Perez, like I said, is in 13th as well. So let's see how quickly these guys can come back up the order. But all the Ferrari fans will be hoping that Charles Leclerc can win this race. And boy, with all the issues that they've had, driver errors, pit stop errors, they'll be hoping that they can have a smooth race today. But it is Ferrari, so smooth doesn't normally happen in their race strategies. So we'll have to wait and see. There is a poll out as well, so please let me know who you think is going to win the Italian Grand Prix. If you think it's somebody else that's not in the running order, then please, of course, put it in the comments below. And let me know where you're watching this race stream from today. If you're unable to watch the coverage, hopefully here on this stream today, we'll keep you up to date with any changes that get made in the order. Hopefully this is going to be a great race, but only time will tell. Just a point about Nick de Vries actually as well, not just the fact that this is his first Formula 1 race, but he was actually testing in the Aston Martin on Friday, and then got the call by Williams to say Alex Albon couldn't come in and that he had to go in there. So actually he drove an Aston Martin on Friday in practice, and then drove a Williams in practice and qualifying on Saturday. So not been a bad weekend for him. Hopefully he can have a decent race and prove why he should be in Formula 1 next year. It is a long start-finish straight down to turn 1, so we could see some instance. Of course, we saw Hamilton and Verstappen collide at that first chicane last year, which helped Daniel Ricciardo win the race. Green flag, doesn't seem to be any issues. Into 5 red lights, and we are lights out, and away we go. Oh, issue for a McLaren. I think that could be. I'm not sure who that is out of the McLarens, but he's fall down a bit. Obviously, the two McLarens are side by side. I think that was Lando Norris who had the issue. George Russell, locking up. George Russell's gone a little bit wide into that chicane. Both of them locked up there, but Charles Leclerc does manage to keep that place. A lot of things have happened there. I think Lewis Hamilton has ran wide a little bit as well. We've got Pierre Gasly. Max Verstappen is already up to 5th place, so he's jumped on Lando Norris's issue. Let's see where he is. He's still behind Pierre Gasly. Fernando Alonso's trying there as well. He's battling along with Lando Norris. Few things happening so far in this race. Hopefully they'll get the leader up. Oh, still Norris and Alonso still battling there. Disappointing that for McLaren. The fact that Lando Norris has fallen back so far already. He's down to 6th place. Lewis Hamilton, I think, was the one that locked up at the chicane, so he's still in 19th place. Bottas is down in 20th, so he's had issues himself. And Max Verstappen is already up to 4th place. We haven't even done a lap yet. The worry that Ferrari did not need. The fact that Max Verstappen is already in 4th place, got Daniel Ricciardo in front of him. That Red Bull shouldn't take too long to pass that, so we then have him against the Mercedes and the Ferrari. He looks like he's already going to take Daniel Ricciardo here without even DRS down that main straight as we complete the first lap. He's going to have a late braking manoeuvre. Let's see how that goes. Daniel Ricciardo is pretty good on the brakes, but Max Verstappen in that Red Bull is already through and he's up to 3rd place. This is going to be really difficult for Ferrari now. Another lock up there. That's between Sainz and Perez down at the back. Ooh, that is very close from Carlos Sainz then, squeezing Sergio Perez. That was very close indeed. That could have been contact and in the wall. Lewis Hamilton's still down in 19th place at the moment. He's unable to make any places so far. So we've got Leclerc still in the lead. George Russell is 2nd. We've got Max Verstappen up 4 places to 3rd already. Daniel Ricciardo 4th. Gasly 5th. Norris dropping 3 places due to that. It looks like anti-stall, as they're saying in the commentary for me. And yeah, literally just went absolutely nowhere. Gasly, Alonso, Verstappen all flying past him. The Williams also having a go as well. But very disappointing start for Lando Norris there and McLaren. Just seeing at the back who locks up the most there. Oh, Lewis Hamilton did have to run wide, but I think it was due to so many cars in front of him. If he kept going, he would have, I think, ran into the back there. So, yeah, had to take the little escape bit on the first chicane. George Russell not doing too bad for pace there off the line, but tried to go around the outside, turning into the inside. But Leclerc was obviously going to squeeze him off a little bit there. Russell saying push me wide, but it's the first lap of the race, so yeah, he wasn't close enough, I don't think. Yeah, absolutely bogged down there for Lando Norris. Seeing the on board must have been into anti-stall, and then yeah, your heart sinks there if you're Lando Norris, because you've already lost all them places already. At least he didn't lose so many places. Just see Mick Schumacher's on board. Obviously, Bottas dropped a few places. Is there any contact here? Oh, that's... Yeah, Bottas and Magnussen, I think, had a bit of contact there. That was very slow. Oh, and I think... Was that Bottas losing a bit of front wing? Max Verstappen's on a fastest lap. He's already catching up to the back of George Russell. My concern for Ferrari at this moment in time is that because Max Verstappen is so close already and we're going on to lap 4, he's got DRS against George Russell. I think the Ferrari, if Max Verstappen gets close enough, don't think he's going to be really that helpful. Leclerc, Russell, Verstappen all on the soft compound tyres. Ricciardo, Gasly, Norris, Alonso behind are on the medium compound of tyre. The next one on the softs behind is Nick de Vries in 8th still, so fair dues for him. Nicholas Latifi has dropped away to 16th, but de Vries is still in 8th place at the moment. So, yeah, fair dues to him to still be there. He's obviously on the soft. His teammate's on the medium compound tyre, though, so... Lewis Hamilton, I think, has actually been overtaken again by Mick Schumacher because, and as I say that, he's re-overtook him, so he's gone up to 18th. Perez has just overtook Magnussen to 14th place against Magnussen. Oh, Max is getting close there, going into Ascari chicane. Yeah, it wasn't managed to do it there, but I'm pretty sure going on the start-finish straight, we'll have Max Verstappen in 2nd place. Not sure George Russell's going to be able to do too much about this, to be fair. Let's just have a look at this onboard of Max Verstappen. So he will have DRS. You can hear the DRS kicking in. Is he going to he's going to make a late brake maneuver. Is George? Yeah, he's through. He's through. George Russell wasn't able to cover that off. For George's sake, he'll hope he can keep on at the back of him for a bit of slipstream and DRS for himself. But yeah, we're on lap 5 already, and Leclerc's going to be seeing Max Verstappen in his mirrors, not what he wanted to see with the fact that he started in 7th place. But that just seems to be Red Bull and Verstappen this year. They just seem to have the luck. They seem to have the great car. Max Verstappen is on fine form this year, so when you have everything going your way, it's really difficult. So the Ferrari fans that have turned up today, weekend attendance, to be fair, of 340,000 people over the weekend here at Monza, but I think they're not going to get the result they want. Daniel Ricciardo is still in 4th place at the moment, to be fair, but he is being followed by Gasly, Norris, Alonso and de Vries. Carlos Sainz, just before getting into the Parabonica, just making that move there on Sebastian Vettel. Sainz is up to 11th now. Then mediums aren't switching on that quickly, are they? But obviously they're going to go the distance compared to the soft compound tyre. I think, yep, Sainz, sorry. Oh! Sainz just took Lance Stroll as well, so both Aston Martins, but Ocon and Perez getting very close into that first chicane. I think Perez should try and go around the outside here, but on the medium tyre compared to Ocon's soft, but that Red Bull obviously a lot quicker than the Alpine, and does do so. I think George Russell's just lost Max Verstappen, so unfortunately for him, he hasn't been able to stay with Verstappen to get the DRS. But yeah, let me know, did you think 6 laps in that Max Verstappen would already be charging down to Charles Leclerc? To be fair, I think I did, because the way he's been able to do it, I mean, Spa was a perfect example as well. A few races ago where he managed to do almost the same thing and catch up the pack from starting a bit further back. But on board with Pierre Gasly, does he have DRS? He does, but he's not close enough to Daniel Ricciardo at the minute. Daniel Ricciardo is actually doing a very good job at the moment in 4th place. Daniel will be hoping that the same sort of thing happens between Leclerc and Verstappen that happened between Hamilton and Verstappen last year, which saw him get the victory. Of course, he has George Russell ahead of him that would be taking that spot if anything did happen, but that's of course how Ricciardo was aided really last year in terms of getting that win, with the two main contenders taking each other out. Hamilton at the moment is still in 18th place. He's stuck behind Tsunoda and Latifi, who are fighting each other as well. But we have got a DRS train for Magnussen in 15th, 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th. I think Bottas is a bit further back, is he? Or he is in that train. But of course, the main three will pit a little bit earlier than Daniel Ricciardo in 4th because they are on the softs. Ooh, they're already looking in the Red Bull pit wall here at a potential pit stop. Let's just keep an eye on that. It's quite early to pit, but we're on lap 8. I would expect maybe lap 11, lap 12 for the first pit stops on the soft. And then on to lap 21, 22, I would think maybe for the mediums, but that's just me guessing. Although, interestingly, Perez is pitting right now, and he was on the medium tyre. So they are doing a different strategy. He's going on the hard tyre early. Is he going to go all the way from 8th to 53? I mean, we know Sergio Perez is fantastic on his tyres, but... ooh. Yeah, Perez car smoking there, but it looked like the wheel, but maybe it was the brakes, as they're saying on commentary. But yeah, it did look like it was smoking all the way. I think the car's on fire. That's interesting. He looks like his brake disc's on fire. I'd be worried going into that chicane there. He's still on. I think he's still smoking on that front right. Is a lot of braking. It's still smoking into the second sector here. They're mentioning there's only 4 braking zones, but you're going from 200 mile an hour to brake all the way to the first chicane. If that brake gives up, you're going straight into all them runoff areas. Luckily, there's all them little bollards. We saw Vettel go straight through them a few years ago at Ferrari, when he was driving for Ferrari. But if the brakes fail, that's a bit of a concern for Sergio Perez and Red Bull there. But we'll have to keep an eye on to see if he does stop on track. But that's not what they want. Team radio again. Yeah, they're telling him to move the brake bias a little bit to see if they can cool the front brakes, but it was on fire as he was going around the corner. So unless the wind puts the flame out, I don't know how they're going to be able to stop that. I'll know where Sergio Perez is on the track because I'll just see a little puff of smoke as he goes past, but... while I've been talking about Perez, Carlos Sainz actually is up to 8th place already, coming up to his fellow Spaniard Fernando Alonso in 7th. So great start so far really for Sainz, moving all the way up to 8th place so far, 10 laps in. So as you can see on the driver tracker, you can see how far Sergio Perez is back now compared to the rest of the pack. But unless he has any issues with them brakes and continues, he should be able to go to the rest of the race. Obviously, if there's a safety car or anything, he may benefit from that later on. Carlos Sainz, DRS, trying to overtake Fernando Alonso. Alonso also has DRS. Who's going to brake later? Carlos Sainz manages to put that car in the right place, and he is ahead. He's now up to 7th. Bit more to cheer about for Carlos Sainz because obviously Verstappen is closing down on Leclerc. Gap's about 1.5 seconds at the moment. We're just seeing the onboard of Verstappen. Obviously you can see Leclerc as he's going through. That's going to incentivise Max to keep on going. Said he doesn't want to ruin the party at Monza, but of course wants to win the race. So if he does win, he is going to ruin the day. But oh God, Ferrari are already talking about strategy. This is a bit worrying. Ferrari and strategy doesn't go very well, so as soon as they start talking about it, it concerns me. Daniel Ricciardo trying to break that slipstream. Pierre Gasly behind him. Sainz is now catching up to this little pack of Ricciardo, Gasly and Norris. Gasly's trying to make that move on Norris and does so. Late braking against Lando Norris. And he is now in 6th place. Sainz could be a bit of a factor here. I know there's a bit of a gap between Daniel Ricciardo and the top 3. About 12 seconds, I think, at the moment between George Russell, Leclerc and Daniel Ricciardo. I think it's about 12 seconds. So Sainz needs to get past the rest here. On board of Vettel. Ooh, that doesn't look very good. That looked like an engine failure for Sebastian Vettel. Is he still out on track? He is on track, but there was a huge puff of smoke. Oh, no. He's falling down the pack a little bit here. He's dropped to 18th from 15th. I think this could be the end of Sebastian Vettel's final Italian Grand Prix. He's pulling over in the second sector. Ah, Seb, not the way you want to end your final Italian Grand Prix, but disappointing for Sebastian Vettel there. Puff of smoke at the back on that replay. It says he's losing power on the radio, and that is Vettel, the first person to retire from this race, as Carlos Sainz in the first sector, so yellow flagged in the second, but he's still allowed to overtake. And he's overtook Pierre Gasly just before the virtual safety car. So that was great timing for Carlos Sainz there. So virtual safety car now to try and get Vettel's car off. He's parked in a decent area, actually. So he should be able to get... They should be able to get that car off pretty quickly, I think. So it says here the gap between Leclerc and Daniel Ricciardo is actually 26 seconds at the moment. Under virtual safety car, pit stop time about 17 seconds. So whether it's worth... The virtual safety car should actually still be going round at the pit lane. Yeah, so people are coming out. Ferrari are coming out. Oh, God, this is giving me a bit of a worry. Okay, so Ferrari are coming in. Leclerc's coming in. Verstappen is staying out. Oh, no, the virtual safety car's ending. Okay, so green flag. He was still in the pit lane. Ooh, he's only just going to stay ahead of Daniel Ricciardo. Daniel Ricciardo's going to go late break. Oh, it's very close. Lando Norris has gone wide. Carlos Sainz is just behind him as well, but Charles Leclerc is pitted for a medium compound tyre, so I'm not sure he's going to be able to go to the end. So is this two-stop from Ferrari? But virtual safety car ended while Leclerc was still in the pits, so wasn't the best virtual safety car for Ferrari there, because they would have wanted it to stay a little bit later for him to put his foot down in the pit lane. Magnussen's under investigation for leaving the track and gaining an advantage on the first lap. Okay, 13 laps late to tell us that, but let's see what happens as Carlos Sainz goes past Daniel Ricciardo at Ascari. And Carlos Sainz is now catching up to his teammate Leclerc, so this is interesting. Yeah. Verstappen's engineer, GP, is telling him that it's a long stint for Leclerc on that medium tyre, so we'll have to just see, just do your own thing. As Pierre Gasly now overtakes Daniel Ricciardo, but he goes really wide, locks up. He's going to have to give that place back. Yeah, he's giving the he looks like he's giving the place back. I was gonna say you have to do that because he didn't make that move. Just locks straight up into turn 1. You might be able to get away with it on the F1 game, but not there. Yeah, just locks up on the front right there. Tries to turn in. The tyre just says, no thank you, we're not doing that today. Ooh, that rear wing really flexing on the back of that Williams there of Latifi. Wow, 6 laps early, the Ferrari have said, but 6 laps is quite a way that they've done that early. I mean, obviously the virtual safety car sort of made that up for them. Is it worth doing it at this moment? But 6 laps early is quite actually a big thing. Lewis Hamilton, by the way, is in 13th place now, so he is moving up the order very slowly. Nick de Vries and Ocon, who are 9th and 12th at the moment, are on the softs, so they will have to stop before Lewis Hamilton. So he should work his way up to 11th place when they make their pit stops. But not making as much progress as Carlos Sainz has done in the Ferrari, who's now up to 4th place. Perez is still quite a way back, isn't he? We haven't really heard any more about Perez and his brakes, but he's still quite a way back from Valtteri Bottas in a Red Bull. I know he's on the hard compound tyre, and he'll take probably a little bit longer to warm up, but I would have thought he would be catching the pack up a little bit closer than he is doing at the moment, but have to wait and see. Haven't heard anything more about the brakes, so he must have been able to cool them down. Let's see if Gasly can make that move. He can't do it this time around. Daniel Ricciardo keeps the place into the first chicane. Latifi's in the pits, but as Latifi's coming to the pits, I was just going to praise his teammate, because the fact that he's still in the points at the moment is full credit to him. Oh, okay. Well, there's already a bit of worry in Ferrari. It seems to be an issue with gear changes, saying don't short shift, but Leclerc's saying, well, I need to do that to keep the pace. Oh, come on, Ferrari. I'm not a huge Ferrari fan, but you know, considering they're second in the championship for the constructors, I know it's basically over, both drivers and constructors, but we want it to still be a little bit closer going to the end of the season, so Ferrari do need to sort this out. Oh, that's a nice place. If I always had to sit somewhere, I would stand where the photographers are there. That is a lovely place to see the cars coming round the Parabolica. As Lewis Hamilton closing in on Lance Stroll. He's already overtook Esteban Ocon, actually, by the way. and he's gone past Lance Stroll. 5-second penalty for Magnussen, actually, for that leaving the track and gaining an advantage. So I don't know how much of an advantage it was, but it was the first lap, so a bit harsh, but Perez is about 5 seconds away from Bottas now, so he is catching that pack up a bit. But the Hasses are quite a way back from the rest of the pack as well, so both Verstappen, Russell and Leclerc, to be fair, are in their own little worlds, to be honest. 7 seconds between Verstappen and Russell, 9 seconds between Leclerc and Russell. But of course, as we know, Leclerc has pitted. Leclerc does do fastest lap after that, though, so it won't be too long, I don't think, until Verstappen and Russell do decide to pit. As we see Alonso and Norris. Ooh, Alonso's pushed him a little bit, but it is Fernando Alonso, so Norris, has made that place. So he is up to 7th. Ooh, there was a lot of smoke there. I think that was a lock-up going into the turn 1. Yeah, takes the inside line there. Lovely overtake there from Lando Norris. In the help for that Alpine-McLaren battle. Both McLarens are ahead of both Alpines at the minute. But yes, Leclerc has the fastest lap at the moment. So, let's just see when Verstappen and Russell do decide to pit. It does say the pit window is now open for anyone on the soft compound tyres for what we would think is the right strategy. If you haven't voted yet, please let me know who you think will win this race. Of course, Max Verstappen is in the lead, but do not panic. Leclerc has pitted so far in this race. So if you are a Ferrari fan or a Leclerc fan and you're seeing that he's down in 3rd place, he has been the only one out of them top 3 to pit, as we see Pierre Gasly now coming into the pit stop. Let's just see if the others around him decide to do the same thing on the next lap. Zhou Guanyu and Lance Stroll are also coming in for their pit stop. 3.6, not the best stop there for AlphaTauri. Can Alfa Romeo beat that? No, they're also 3.6. Can Aston Martin beat that? 2.6. Yes, they did. Good stop from Lance Stroll and Aston Martin. Oh, but Nick de Vries does have a black and white flag on track limits. He's still in 8th place at the minute for the Williams. Great job from Nick de Vries. When you think Latifi's all the way down, I know he's pitted as well, but he's all the way down at the back. I have no issue with Nicholas Latifi, but for me, I think it's time now. He's had enough time in Formula One, and hasn't really shone against George Russell. Hasn't really shone against Alex Albon in this season as well. So I just feel like a change needs to be made. The only thing, of course, is the other driver that comes in, whether it be Nick de Vries or somebody else, are they going to bring the same financial backing that Nicholas Latifi brings in? That's another point maybe that they need to consider as de Vries comes in to pit. Like I said, I got nothing bad to say about Nicholas Latifi, but for some reason it hasn't worked in Formula One. I know you can say that Williams isn't exactly the best team at the moment, and that's absolutely right, but you can see that the car does have pace because de Vries has been in the points for 20 laps now. So somebody that comes in and has only had yesterday in that car and is able to run around in the points, you have to consider it, I'm afraid. So de Vries comes out on track. He should be ahead of Lance Stroll. Oh, he is ahead of Lance Stroll. Sorry, that's Esteban Ocon just ahead of Lance Stroll. Yuki Tsunoda is still around in 18th, but he has pitted for the hard compound tyre. Oh, Lance Stroll trying to get a move here on Esteban Ocon, who's just come out of the pits. Oh, Esteban Ocon still taking the inside line, keeps the place, but Stroll is very close here. If he gets DRS, this could be a very interesting battle here. Gap is 15 seconds between Leclerc and Verstappen. So obviously when Verstappen pits, Leclerc will take the place again, but Verstappen will have a lot fresher tyres going into the next stage. He probably will put hard compound tyres on those. So for me, it's a long way for Leclerc to go on the mediums. So whether they're hoping for another safety car or virtual safety car, Gasly trying to get Daniel Ricciardo. Did say a couple of laps ago that Daniel Ricciardo is moving about all over the place, but both of them actually have pitted. Have I missed them? Yeah, they have pitted. They're both on the hards. I thought, why are they in 12th? They were a lot higher up before, but yeah, both Ricciardo and Gasly have pitted onto the hard compound tyre, which most people will be doing, going for a one-stop, but we will see if we get a safety car in this race or another virtual safety car. If you're just joining us, lap 22. Oh, hang on, Team Radio. Okay, so Ferrari have gone from Plan C to Plan B to Plan A, and they're now on Plan C again. Yeah, but yeah, lap 22 of this Italian Grand Prix. Max Verstappen leading George Russell by just almost 10 seconds. We've got Charles Leclerc in third. He has pitted. The other two have not. He's about 15 seconds away. Does have fastest lap at this point. We've then got Sainz, Norris, Alonso, Hamilton. He's now up to 7th. He hasn't pitted yet. 8th is Mick Schumacher. Perez is in 9th on his hard compound tyres that he has pitted. Bottas 10th. Magnussen 11th. Ricciardo 12th. Gasly 13th. De Vries is now in 14th. He interestingly has put the medium tyres on, like Leclerc. Zhou 15th. Ocon 16th. Tsunoda 17th. Stroll 18th. And we have Latifi is 19th, and Sebastian Vettel in his last Italian Grand Prix that we know of, because he is retiring at the end of the season, is out of the race, unfortunately. We believe it's an engine failure, but yeah, sadly for him, Sebastian Vettel is the only one so far out of this race. Both Verstappen and Russell are going a bit longer than I thought they were going to do. We're on lap 23. I thought they might have gone on lap 21. Whether they're going to go maybe 25? Obviously, the better if you've still got decent tyres, the longer you can keep going, the better it's going to be at the end of the race, because you will have fresher tyres compared to your compared to your rivals around you. But I don't think anyone has been lapped yet, but Latifi's not that far away that he won't get lapped by Max Verstappen at this point. They'll be hoping that Verstappen comes in the pits, but oh, Alonso Team Radio. Oh, George Russell's in the pits actually. Oh, not the fastest pit stop for Mercedes. It didn't look like anyway. But Alonso just laughing at Alonso's team radio, saying, "Have we got an issue with deployment, or is this it?" And they just said, "Why? There's nothing wrong." And he's like, "Wow." Bit like the Alonso of the McLaren days. The GP2 engine. Brilliant. Alonso's actually being caught by Lewis Hamilton, which we saw them collide, as we're seeing it on the screen now. Lewis Hamilton and Alonso close together now, and of course we saw them collide 2 weeks ago in Spa. So yeah, this could be an interesting battle as Perez easily gets past Mick Schumacher into. Well, I say easily. He has got past him, but yeah, it wasn't actually that easily. Fair dues to Mick Schumacher to try and keep that move going, but yeah, Red Bull's just a lot faster than the Haas, isn't it? So just waiting to see. So will Max Verstappen come in this next lap? If George Russell has now come in, he's set a hard compound tyre. He's gone to 4th place, so he's behind Sainz. Sainz says he wants the soft compound tyre. That's interesting. Why? That's weird. Ooh, that looked very out of control there for Mercedes of Hamilton there. Going into that final corner, that looked a bit wobbly. It's not what you want when you put your foot down. Kevin Magnussen's coming into the pits. But to be fair, we're on lap 25. We're almost halfway in this Italian Grand Prix, and Max Verstappen is he's still on that soft compound tyre. He is coming into the pits now. We've been told to come into the pits. Here he comes now. What tyres are they setting on? Medium. Interesting. So he's gone almost the full. Well, he's gone almost a half distance on the soft, and he's now coming out on the medium compound tyre. So Leclerc is now ahead of Max Verstappen by about 10 seconds. But of course, Max Verstappen will have so much. I'm not sure what the actual time Leclerc pitted, but he'll almost have 10 laps, I think, better age on them tyres than Leclerc will do. I'm not 100% which lap he pitted. But yeah, he should catch up to Charles Leclerc here. George Russell is the only one out of them top 3, actually, that pitted the hard compound tyre. So we'll see what they can do, what Mercedes can do on that, if they're going to be better. But nobody on the hards is really lighting up the times. So I expect Max Verstappen is going to take fastest lap here. We're seeing the onboard of Lewis Hamilton here against Fernando Alonso, still behind his ex-teammate at the moment. He has DRS at this point before they get into the Ascari chicane, but Mercedes don't look as powerful this weekend as they did last weekend at Zandvoort for the Dutch Grand Prix. I think their car will be better suited when we go to Singapore. I don't know if that's a couple of weeks' time. But it just doesn't. The Mercedes car doesn't seem to be hugely impressive. Obviously, they're still in 4th and 7th, but he should have Fernando Alonso here, though. Alonso hasn't got DRS. Hamilton. Ooh, yes, has made that move. Although, to be fair, I would rather Fernando Alonso in front of me than behind, because at least you know where he is. He'll be dancing behind Lewis Hamilton's mirrors here, so he'll have to hope that he can get out of that DRS zone. Max Verstappen's just put the fastest second sector, so I'm expecting he's going to take the fastest lap, and he does do just that, 1:25.0. Seeing the onboard of Pierre Gasly here trying to get past Daniel Ricciardo still in this race. Had that one overtaking opportunity. And he obviously went wide and had to give the place back, but ooh, lock up there by De Vries. Going into the first chicane. Managed, I think, to get away with it. Still pretty close to Pierre Gasly there. But I would say we're 28 laps into this race. 29 laps, should I say, sorry, as Leclerc crosses the line. This race isn't spectacular. I'm not going to lie. I think the problem for me is that every time you change the regulations in this sport, as much as they always say that every time they change the regulations it's to improve the racing, for me it always seems to get worse, because somebody out of that regulations change is always going to be the best. They're always going to have the better car, so they're always going to run away with it. We saw Red Bull do it in 2010. We then saw the dominance of Mercedes from 2014 onwards. So and now we're seeing Red Bull having the better car in this new regulation. So you're always going to get that. So for me last year, like having that battle between Red Bull and Mercedes, was a great year for Formula One. Obviously, we gained a lot more fans. The racing was good. I just feel like this year, I mean, Ferrari probably could have still been up there if they hadn't made so many mistakes. But I still feel like Red Bull would have run away with it in the end anyway. I just feel like there hasn't been a race this season that I've gone, oh my God, that was amazing this year, compared to last year, for example. There's not really one, unless anybody can put in, a race this year that has made them go wow, but I can't really think of one, to be honest. Have we maybe had more overtakes this year? Possibly, but maybe at the beginning of this season. But I would say from maybe the British Grand Prix onwards, none of the races have really lit the world alight. So. But of course, last weekend was only saved by that last-minute safety car. If that last-minute safety car hadn't come in and bunched the pack up a little bit, maybe the race wouldn't have been as exciting. I suppose you had the battle that was taken away from us with the fact that Verstappen had to overtake Russell and Hamilton on the same sort of age tyres, and obviously that was taken away from us with that safety car, but. I just feel like, weirdly, this season isn't as exciting as last year. And I know, obviously, when you change the regulations, it probably will take a few years to improve, but then maybe don't change the regulations. Just leave it so that all the teams manage to catch up to each other. So like we saw last year, it was decent competition between each other. Maybe this year would have been even better competition with each other. Who knows? Obviously, we won't know that as Carlos Sainz comes into the pits. What tyre is he putting on? He's putting a soft compound tyre on. He wanted the soft compound tyre, so let's see what Carlos Sainz can do. He's got 20 2 laps, which obviously Max Verstappen did 25, so it's definitely possible, but let's see what Sainz can do on them softs. He should be a lot quicker than Sergio Perez, who's on the hard compound tyre though, so he's about 2 seconds behind now after that pit stop, but he should easily catch up to Perez, really. You'd like to think, anyway. Gap between Verstappen and Leclerc, actually, by the way, 6.5 seconds at the moment. Yeah, it was a double lockup coming into the pit lane there, trying to get every bit of speed possible. Not a bad pit stop for Ferrari, actually. Red Bull watching the tyres of Ferrari there. George Russell is about 19 seconds behind Verstappen at the minute. So it is basically a race between the front two. Everyone from third downwards is out of this race. George Russell is 19 seconds behind, so unless there's a safety car... this looks like Alonso out. So Alonso is out. So Fernando Alonso is also out of the race, but he is in the pit lane, so there won't be any yellow flags, safety cars, virtual safety cars. He's coming into the pits, and I think they said there was an issue with deployment, so he was right a few laps ago when he said, is there anything wrong? And they went, no, it all looks fine. But there obviously was some issue, so Fernando Alonso did know before the team, but obviously it's not something they could fix, so he is out of the race, as well as Sebastian Vettel, who retired about 12 laps into this race with an engine issue, or what looked to be like an engine issue. On board with Nick de Vries here, catching up to Pierre Gasly. Gasly on the hard tyre, de Vries on the medium compound tyre, so the Williams should be a bit quicker on that tyre compound. But, Leclerc saying, they're saying Plan C confirmed for Ferrari, should I say. As we're seeing the Ferrari of Carlos Sainz catching up to Sergio Perez here. This should be pretty straightforward on this lap. Ooh! That was very close from Carlos Sainz. I didn't think he'd make a move there. And they are pitting Charles Leclerc. So are they soft compound tiring Leclerc? Yeah, he should come out ahead of George Russell. So 2.6 seconds. So far, they shouldn't have to pit again. So far, that was decent pit stops from Ferrari there. Whether it's because they're there at their home Grand Prix and they can't afford to fail, I don't know. But 2 decent pit stops, or 2 decent stops from both for both drivers. He's ahead of George Russell when he's come out of the pits now, Leclerc. Hamilton's being told to box, but this is his first pit stop, I believe. Is he coming on to softs? He is. Lewis Hamilton's also coming on to the soft compound tyres as well. So hard compound tyres aren't really working in this race. And a few of the drivers and teams are swapping them for softs again. So Hamilton has come out in 12th, but all the cars are pretty close to each other, and he's on the soft, so he should be able to get past them. We'll just see if the DRS is helpful or not. But So both Ferraris are on softs now. We've got Hamilton on softs, and we've got Mick Schumacher, who's just pitted the same time as Hamilton. He's also on softs. So we've just got 18. We've just got over 18 laps, and it's about 19 seconds now. The gap between Verstappen and Leclerc. Is the Ferrari going to be able to catch the Red Bull of Max Verstappen? Verstappen's on the medium compound tyre. This could spice up this race, or it couldn't, because Leclerc might blow his tyres before he gets close to Verstappen. So, yeah, hopefully that does play a key role in this race. But yeah, it's not lighting the world up at the moment, should I say. So if you're still listening to the race stream, obviously thank you for joining. Hopefully I'm trying to keep it as up to date as possible on the race as it's happening. This week, obviously, the driver tracker is working nicely as well. The leaderboard is updating. So everything seems to be working pretty smoothly in terms of our race stream. As we see Lewis Hamilton take the first one out of that group, overtook Zhou Guanyu into 11th. Next one is Nick de Vries. But yeah, if you haven't voted already, please let me know who you think will win this race. I will probably close it in just over 5 or 6 laps time, and then put drive of the day out. But Lando Norris is coming in. Yeah, Lando Norris actually hasn't pitted yet, so this is a really good job from McLaren here. Oh, God. 5-second pit stop. Bloody hell, McLaren. That wasn't very good, was it? Oh, she's going to be very close with his teammate. No, he's not. He's not. Gasly. Gasly's going to swoop round him, I think. That 2 seconds wasted. Lewis Hamilton is also trying to overtake Norris. He does overtake him. He's going to look at Gasly as well. No, that was a lovely move from Lewis Hamilton there. Gasly is still putting pressure on him, but he should have the inside line. Hamilton, he does so. So that was 2 places there already, but that was the 2 seconds that cost Lando Norris there. He lost the place to his teammate, and then he lost the place to Gasly. So the team messed up there in terms of that pit stop, because yeah, that 2 seconds there could have seen him ahead of this whole pack. So he's now got to overtake Gasly, which he's pretty close to doing. But yeah, he's then got to chase back up to Lewis Hamilton. So I'm not sure what happened here. Was it the front or the... Oh no, it was the front right. So it looked like actually it was fitted, but the green light came on, so I don't know. As we see, Hamilton overtakes Daniel Ricciardo now. Norris looks like he's had Pierre Gasly and has done so. So the soft tyres are really working against everybody now on the hard compound tyre. Hamilton's chasing down Perez, but as we can see, there's a huge gap between Perez and Lewis Hamilton there. So Norris is under a second on his teammate, so I would expect that that'll be pretty easy against the 2 McLarens, to be fair. The annoying thing for Daniel Ricciardo is I don't think if they pitted Ricciardo, he's going to fall behind to Latifi, but he's got a few laps to try and do so. So I might say to the team, and we're in 8th place now, I would probably say, is it worth us pitting and me trying to chase the crew back up? But it's worth considering. But you'd have to do it now. No, they're not doing so. So I think Daniel Ricciardo is probably committed onto this hard compound tyre now, but I suppose if he does pit, how higher is he going to get? Is he going to get any higher than where he is? Probably not. The gap's so huge. And Lewis Hamilton's 18 seconds behind Perez in 5th, so it's, yeah. I know he's on the soft and hards. Oh, Nick de Vries trying to make a move on Gasly. Unable to do so there into the chicane there, coming into the second sector. But Leclerc sets the fastest lap, where he's still 19 seconds away from Verstappen. Not really happening, is it, for Leclerc? I think this is basically, if Nick de Vries manages to finish in the points here, this is basically a contract being signed for him, surely. They should be drawing up the contract right now for a seat. I'm not sure who manages Nick de Vries. Is it Toto? I know Toto obviously used to do Bottas and Ocon. Don't know if he does Nick de Vries as well, but I'm sure whoever the agent is for Nick de Vries will be getting a few phone calls. Guan Yu Zhou trying to get a move on de Vries, but... Ooh, another lock-up. Who was that? That could have been Ocon or Tsunoda there, just behind this pack. But yeah, Leclerc's not really setting the world alight with these soft compound tyres against Max Verstappen. Verstappen on the medium still putting in decent pace, so... Leclerc does have the fastest lap, so I suppose at least if you think about it in that way, I don't think Verstappen's going to be able to take that fastest lap off him now, but... Bottas is also pitted for the soft compound tyre, behind Mick Schumacher, who pitted 2 laps before he did, so... So Kevin Magnussen is the... Oh no, Latifi, Schumacher, Bottas and Stroll and Magnussen have been lapped. Is that Magnussen being lapped the second time then? Oh dear, Lance Stroll looks like he's also retiring. So that's both Aston Martins out of the race. Not... Yeah, that's not a great weekend, is it, for Aston Martin? Both drivers out of the race at the Italian Grand Prix. Seeing Latifi and Mick Schumacher fighting for a position here. Mick Schumacher, I'm guessing, will have this because he's on the softs. That Williams is very quick on a straight line, isn't it? It's just the cornering that they seem to have issues with in that race car, and they've had it for a while. Obviously, over the last few years, obviously the best part of it has been the Mercedes power unit giving them pace, but of course the Honda power unit for Red Bull this year, or it's not called Honda anymore, is it? It's the Red Bull powertrains or whatever they've named it, is looking the best, then the Ferrari, then maybe the Mercedes. Obviously Mercedes have made upgrades throughout the year, but yeah, in terms of straight line pace, Williams are up there in terms of the speed, but it's when they get into the corners. Oh no, Mick Schumacher locks up there. Oof. Does get that move done on Nicholas Latifi. Obviously, like I said, Latifi's on the hard compound tyre. Mick Schumacher is on the softs, but locked up into turn one there. And Latifi's just literally sailed straight past him. Ooh, this is getting very... Yeah, this is getting very punchy. Mick Schumacher again goes down the inside. Ooh. Yeah. That was an interesting manoeuvre, but for 14th place. Yeah, so Nicholas Latifi retakes the lead, and then Schumacher takes the place again. And Nicholas Latifi is over a second behind now, so I don't think he's going to get DRS. And Bottas, who's also on the soft compound tyres behind him, is now closing and should get that place as well. Bottas does make that move, but that Williams, as I say, is it's really quick on a straight line, so he's able to keep up with these guys, even with DRS. If they can sort out the aero on that Williams, it'd be a great car. Red Bull are actually looking for, considering a pit stop here. They're checking on the tyres. Oh, they are coming out with softs. Who is this? Is this Max Verstappen? Or Sergio Perez? Okay, so it's Sergio Perez, not Verstappen. I was going to say that's a bit risky for... It was a bit risky to bring in Max Verstappen. I don't think it's worth doing Max Verstappen here, but... Yeah, so in doing that pit stop for Perez, whether they thought he was going off a little bit in terms of tyres, he did pit on lap 9 or lap 7. So he's got 10 laps to go now. Fresh as softs, but both Norris and Hamilton, who have overtook him, are also on softs. So Nick de Vries, I think he's going to fall out of the point here. He had a double lock-up into the chicane there on them medium tyres. I mean, luckily for him, the two cars behind, or 3 cars behind, should I say, are all on hard. So gap is 17 seconds for Leclerc here. He's not really made any progress on Max Verstappen. So I feel like with 9 laps to go, this is a Max Verstappen win. This is obviously very disappointing if you're a Ferrari fan. 55% of you voted for Charles Leclerc. Leclerc to win the race. I mean, less than 10 laps to go, and he's 17 seconds behind Max Verstappen. I think unless Red Bull have an issue with that tyre, or there's a late safety car. Charles Leclerc's catching Max Verstappen. Well, he's not closing him enough, I'm afraid. There needs to be a late safety car, or Red Bull needs to have an issue with Verstappen's tyres. Something needs to happen for Leclerc to win this race right now. Which for me just shows how powerful that Red Bull is this season, because he started 7th and he's going to win this race. Oh, has Norris got an issue? Oh. Norris has just told everybody to not speak to him because he's busy. He'll certainly ask a question in in a few laps' time. If I was the engineer, I'd just keep quiet, because he's like, "Oh, I thought you said you were busy." But he's about 4 seconds ahead of Sergio Perez at the minute, and then 4 seconds behind Lewis Hamilton. So obviously feels like he's needs to concentrate on that. De Vries has DRS against Pierre Gasly again here. He is in the points right now. 194 mile an hour down Main Straight. Locks up a little bit again on that right front, but he's trying to make sure he gets points in his first race here. Ooh, this could be interesting. There is a yellow flag. Oh, he stopped. Daniel Ricciardo has stopped. This could be a safety car. Hello. This could be a safety car, because there doesn't look like it's going to be quite difficult. It doesn't look going to be an easy one. Oh, the Red Bull are out. This is Max Verstappen coming in for a pits, thinking Leclerc. Oh. I see. I would have said that was a safety car. He's literally just sitting there. Oh, they're so late with these safety cars right now. Oh, George Russell's coming into the pits here. This is interesting. This is going to be interesting, people. It's finally spiced up. This is finally spiced up. This is looking glorious. So Russell and Sainz have pitted for new softs here. Verstappen, I think they are going to pit him. Well, they would gain position, but would they not? I'm trying to see if anybody has actually stayed out here and everyone's pitted. So there's only Gasly, De Vries, Zhou and Ocon. Yeah, Gasly, De Vries, Zhou and Ocon are the only people that haven't pitted for a soft, so... So they're also saying, actually, that this safety car might not go back out. Might not go back in to the end of this race. Oh, why would you make everybody pit? Yeah, I'm just thinking, are they going to be able to get that car moved? Because if they don't think that they're gonna get any racing at the end of this race, then yeah, I'm just trying to think. If they're not going to move this car, I don't know why they're not doing anything else about it. Because if they red flag this race right now because they can't get that car moving, then everybody could go on a new set of softs. But it doesn't really matter because everybody is already moved. Apart from Ocon and Zhou and De Vries, I think Gasly as well. Everybody else is on softs anyway. So most of them are all brand new. Well, they are brand new. So if we red flagged it and then went back out again, it wouldn't actually make that much of a difference. But to just go around for the next 3 laps and finish under the safety car is a bit of a damp squib, to be honest. They are literally just standing there. Why haven't they red flagged this? Well, then they have to red flag it then. They can't get a crane on the track. Oh, God. When we all thought that this actually wasn't going to be a bad ending to this race, is now actually going to be a bad ending to this race, I feel. We're not even going to get a last lap shootout, I don't think. Being honest. Well, they have actually got a crane out now, but... I yeah, so this is So they are overtaking the safety car right now, just to give a bit of an update. But they're all going to go around to lap 52. So I would say... that it's not going to end this lap. So we might get a last lap shootout here. But it is literally going to come down to the last lap. We're not going to get a couple of laps. It's going to be one lap here. Because we're on lap 51 or 53. The car, I think Daniel Ricciardo's car is still being taken away. But they've got two lapped cars. They've got two lap cars between Leclerc and Verstappen here. So they let so many through, but they haven't let... Who is that? They haven't let Zhou and Ocon. No. Well, this is, if you're just joining us, this may end under the safety car here. They have got Daniel Ricciardo's car out of the way, but the other cars are not going to catch this safety car, I don't think. As you can see on the driver tracker. But there are back markers between Leclerc and Verstappen, so Verstappen is literally just going to disappear here. So we're not even going to get a shootout for the win. Doesn't say safety cars coming in this lap. So... Safety car's not coming in. Safety car's not coming in because he hasn't said it, and it's coming to the end of the lap here, so we're coming under the safety car. Oh, we will finish the race. Well, what a way to finish this race, people. Please, if you can, vote for your driver of the day. If I'm giving my driver of the day and being honest about it, I would give it to Carlos Sainz. I think he's done a tremendous job from starting pretty much at the back to finish in 4th place. Oh, how disappointing that you've got to wave the checkered flag and it's under the safety car. That's just a bit embarrassing, isn't it? I would give it to Carlos Sainz. I think Max Verstappen, again, safety car ending. Well, it's the last lap, so obviously. I would, yeah, as I say, Max Verstappen, I think it was worth giving him, starting from 7th and, you know, easily coming to win this race now in the end. So, yeah, to be fair, Max Verstappen could be up there, but I would give it to Carlos Sainz. But Ferrari don't look very happy because this was probably a very good chance of actually getting a win here. You know, with a great end to the race, but... Yeah, so unfortunately we are going to end this race under the safety car. I can't remember stat-wise when the last time we ended a race under the safety car was. I mean, it should have been Abu Dhabi last year, but obviously that's still a touchy subject for most. but we are going to finish under the safety car. I just... Wow. They're already putting 30 race wins for Verstappen up, and he's not even crossed the line yet, because obviously there's nothing that anyone can do about it. So, and we are hearing a lot of jeering from the Italian fans, as you would expect. I mean, you pay to watch a race, and it finishes under a safety car. Wow. Wow. Deary me. Deary me. What a disappointing end to the race. to also a bit of a disappointing race in general, to be honest. I mean, in terms of that stat of people winning from pole, winning the race, I mean, that has gone opposite. You know, that didn't happen today, but I mean... Yeah, I mean, that's not a way you should end a great Grand Prix, to be honest. When you have the option to maybe have a one-lap shootout, or, as we mentioned, all the drivers really went on brand new soft tyres, so you could have just red flagged it and had them come back out again. But yeah, I mean, that's just really disappointing, isn't it? I think they're gonna. I think the FIA. I think the directors are gonna have a few. They're gonna have a few people, aren't they, that aren't unhappy. That are unhappy. I can hear a lot of booing. Nick de Vries actually finishes in 9th place, so fair dues to Nick de Vries in his championship, in his first Grand Prix race there with Williams to score points. I think his contract should be there immediately, to be honest. Yeah, Ferrari wouldn't have won this race without the safety car and maybe the restart, because Max Verstappen was in too much of a control there. The Red Bull was too quick today for the Ferrari, but yeah, the Ferrari fans are obviously booing the fact that it finished under the safety car. For me, I think for some reason this year, and we moaned at Michael Massey, and he did make terrible decisions last year. You know, there's no defending that. But to me, these race directors, I don't know who they are, but these race directors take a lot longer to make a decision than any times previous, because Ricciardo's car was out there for a good 30 seconds just sitting there in the second sector before they decided to do anything about it. And it's like, you know, that 30 seconds, that 40 seconds is almost a lap then that we've lost out. So if you can see the data and you've got all these cameras, these decisions should be made, you know, almost immediately. I know they've obviously got to have a discussion whether they think it's a VSC, whether they think it's a safety car, is it a red flag? But, you know, the time it takes this year, and they always seem to make these decisions take so much longer than they need to take. You know, that was part of the thing that affected the race finishing under a safety car, to be honest, today. And I'm fully understanding of why these fans who have paid to see a Formula One race are booing the fact that it's finished basically with them all in line under a safety car. You know, obviously I would be a bit disappointed. Obviously you wouldn't be disappointed. They wouldn't be disappointed if it was a Ferrari that was first and it was finishing under a safety car. I'm pretty sure that they would be pretty happy with that. So you know, it depends on who's going to finish the race in first place. But yeah, you know, I can understand the fans' frustration at that. But yeah, for all the mechanics don't. It's not really a huge celebration for Charles Leclerc as he comes to see all of his team. He clearly doesn't look very happy with this second place. I might just hold on to this to see if there is a reaction to the podium finish here. Oh, Sergio Perez in the end took fastest lap. I didn't notice that as everything was going on. So fair dues for Checo Perez there to get that final, that extra point. So, yeah, in terms of the running order, because everything went a bit weird at the end there. So, Max Verstappen obviously ended up winning the race there under the safety car. Charles Leclerc came home in second place. George Russell takes a third place, another podium position for him. Carlos Sainz in fourth. Lewis Hamilton fifth as well. So, he started from the back of the grid. He finishes in fifth place as well. So, struggled a bit more than Carlos Sainz to move up, but in the end, pretty decent result for him. Perez 6th, he also started further back. Lando Norris in 7th, Gasly 8th, Nick de Vries, as I mentioned, in 9th place. Great result for him. Zhou Guanyu finishes off the final points. And then we've got Ocon 11th, Schumacher 12th, Bottas 13th, Tsunoda is 14th, Latifi 15th, Magnussen is 16th, and then we had 4 drivers. Oh, a few Italian booing when Verstappen's speaking. Ricciardo, Stroll, Alonso and Vettel were the drivers that were out of this race. But he's getting a few boos, but whether they're boos for Verstappen, I don't think. I think it's boos for the fact that he basically just finished in first place under the safety car. I don't think it's anything to do with him actually just winning the race, because if there hadn't been any safety car or anything at the end, he would have won this race comfortably. So he deserved the race win. Max Verstappen, and this season is basic. We knew this season was over, but it's basically, it's definitely over anyway. We all know that this season, it's not mathematically, but it basically is. Let's be honest. So, yeah, it is going to be a bit more of a sad end to a Formula 1 season compared to obviously what we got. Last year was we're never really going to get anything like that again, I don't think, for a long time. The fact that they go into the end, the last race with a point between them, I don't think it's ever going to be again. But, the fact that it doesn't even go maybe to the last couple of races, I think is disappointing. I think Verstappen will probably win it in the US mathematically, maybe. Leclerc doesn't obviously look very happy finishing in second place. But to be honest, you can't blame Ferrari's strategy today. They were decent on pit stops. You can't really blame their strategy because ultimately the Red Bull just looked stupidly quick today compared to the Ferrari, compared to the Mercedes. So I think Ferrari could have done everything spot on with strategy and pit stops, and they still wouldn't have won the race today. Yeah, fair dues for George Russell and, of course, Mercedes. Don't have the fastest car this season, but always seem to be in the right place at the right time to be able to keep picking up these points. I don't know if we're going to see a live constructors standings, or obviously Nick de Vries got driver of the day. He should get a contract, as I've mentioned, immediately. Why is Martin Brundle bringing? Okay, bringing. He doesn't need to bring that out, does he? Right now, let's be honest. I think they're going to have to do a review at the end of this as to why they made the decisions at the end. I think they need to review the process because ultimately they could have safety carred this race and still got it underway. But it's the fact that they took so long to activate the safety car that by the time they activated the safety car, the leaders had already gone round. So then you have to pick them up again, which wastes another lap. And then you have to get the car off the track and you have to wait for the digger or the crane to come to pick the car up. Everything just took so much longer because they took long to announce the safety car and to announce the decisions of what they were going to make. So for me, if you're going to take so long to make a decision, you red flag it, because at least if you red flag it, all the cars come back into the pits no matter what. They all go back. They all go onto a brand new set of soft compound tyres, and then it's just a 3-lap shootout until the end of the race. Everybody has an equal, tyre choice, but yeah, what happened? That's not how you want a Formula One race to finish, under the safety car, and yeah, no one's able. They all pitted for soft, but it was pretty pointless in the end. De Vries, Gasly. They all stayed on their hard compound tyres, and it didn't really matter, to be honest. But Verstappen on 335 points, Leclerc 219 points, Perez close to Leclerc on 210. But yeah, this is basically we all know the season's over. But interestingly enough, Nick De Vries has 2 more points than Nicholas Latifi this season. Christ. Latifi, that's not good news, is it? Let's be honest. De Vries on one race got more points than you. Very disappointing. But yeah, if you're just joining us, Max Verstappen wins the Italian Grand Prix. The race finishes under a safety car. The Italian fans really unhappy. Boos for Max Verstappen, but I do think the boos were more for the fact that he won under the safety car, not for the fact that it was Max Verstappen. I think the FIA are going to need to look at that. A race should never finish under the safety car unless it's a serious incident, and then you would red flag it anyway. So for me, I don't understand it. Yeah, silly. Or is Max Verstappen going to get a good reception here? Don't know. Leclerc gets a nice cheer from all the Tifosi on the start-finish straight. Oh, he gets a bit of a boo. I think they've cut the audio from the booing. Brilliant. I think they were booing and then suddenly the audio disappeared. I think they've cut the sound off of the fans booing. That's brilliant. I mean, it's wrong because the fans should be able to vent their frustration, but I'm pretty sure they've cut the noise of the crowd off, because as Verstappen came out, they started booing. But I would say that the boos are more for the way that the race finished, and obviously I'm disappointed. The how this race ended could have been so different. It's down to the stewards, I think, that need to have a look at that and understand what they could have done differently. So, as I say, fans are always going to be, obviously for their own teams. If Ferrari had won under the safety car, they would be cheering, they would be, celebrating. So, it's always who's in that place to capitalise. But I still feel like the stewards and the race directors need to have a look at this and say, could we have done this differently? Why did we finish under the safety car? And I know then maybe that's contradicting what we all said at the end of last season when the previous race director, did finish the race without the safety car, but there was so many more different problems to that one compared to how they could have sorted this out. For me, if there's a car stuck on the racetrack, you can't move it quickly. For me, that's a red flag. It doesn't take 30 seconds of deliberation to then bring a safety car out. If there's a car on track, there's not a easy access thing to pick the car out, then for me that's a red flag. I'm not a race steward, I'm not a race director, but as a fan, I don't get how we came to the conclusion that we got to today. So yeah, they've muted the crowd. Yeah. They're saying there's boos, but they've cut the sound of the boos, which is stupid, really, because people should be allowed to vent their frustration. You can't just cut them off. Yeah, why is the trophy blue and red? Surely, if it's Italian, it should be green instead of blue or white. That's a bit weird. No, they turned the sound back up when Leclerc came because they were going to get cheers, but they took it off when they knew they were going to get booed. Yeah. So Charles Leclerc actually got driver of the day from everybody here. So thank you for voting in both today. Max Verstappen got 30% of the votes. Carlos Sainz got 20%, and 10% was other. As I say, I would have voted for Carlos Sainz today. I think he did a very good job from where he started to the points he managed to get in the end, finishing in 4th place. But yeah, I think there will be a lot of talk about how this race finished, but ultimately Max Verstappen and Red Bull won't absolutely care about that. It's more points for the drivers and more points for the Constructors' Championship, so they're not going to care. And it won't be long now until it's officially announced for both Red Bull and Verstappen, so... But yeah, so I think that sort of rounds it off. I'll just see, they should put up on the screen in a minute when the next race is. 3 weeks' time. Okay, so we have got a bit of a longer break now for the next race in Singapore. Always a good race in Singapore. Again, might not be the best for overtaking, but it's always fantastic to see racing at night, and of course able to see the drivers' reactions with all the street lights, showing their emotions in the cockpit. So for me, I really enjoy the Singapore Grand Prix, and as I say, that's in 3 weeks' time. We will be doing a few more live streams before then. Of course, any more football related or the MotoGP. If it's on, obviously Jamie will be covering that. But the 30th of September to the 2nd October is when the Singapore Grand Prix is on, and we will of course try and cover that as well. So thank you for everybody who joined the live stream today. Not the most interesting of races, and to top it all off, it finished under the safety car, so a little bit disappointing. Of course, there probably will be some stories around that, and people trying to get information out of the stewards and the FIA as to why they made the decisions that they did, but ultimately that won't make any difference for this race because it is over, and Max Verstappen wins the Italian Grand Prix, beats the Tifosi and Ferrari of Charles Leclerc, and ultimately is only a couple of races away now, I'm sure, from confirming his second Drivers' Championship and Red Bull for their constructors. So yeah, thank you everybody for watching today, and yeah, we will see you all very soon. So thank you for watching. Take care. See you soon.